Again, as we show live pictures from the UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles, again, NBC News reporting that Michael Jackson has died, 50 years old, from Gary, Indiana. Our MSNBC coverage, of course, is going to continue. And again, a very dramatic and big story, perhaps as big as they get in the world of pop culture and music. And so it's appropriate that our coverage should be led now by MSNBC's Keith Olbermann here in New York. Keith?
David Schuster, thank you, and thank you for your good work. Yes, we await an official announcement, but NBC News has now confirmed the earlier reports that Michael Jackson, planning on the verge of his greatest or certainly most difficult comeback of many in a long and varied career in entertainment, and one of the most controversial figures in American pop culture, if not in the society as a whole, is dead tonight at the age of 50, having succumbed apparently to cardiac arrest this afternoon, and having been taken from a home that he was renting in the Holmby Hills section of Westwood, California, part of Los Angeles, of course, and taken from there to the UCLA Medical Center, which is what you're seeing there in those pictures in the other box here with me. The crowds began to form quickly, and as you can see, they are quite deep. They began to form probably about half an hour ago now. When word got out that Michael Jackson was very sick, certainly in a coma, to what degree he was resuscitated after firefighters went to that Holmby Hills house and reported him not breathing is not clear. Whether or not he ever gained anything resembling consciousness or survivability after that point is not clear, as an official announcement is yet, and when that might occur is not yet clear. But those crowds began to form because well before there was an announcement from a news organization per se, the website TMZ.com had reported that they never got him going again, had awakened him from his coma, and that Michael Jackson was dead. That story began to get out a little bit before 3 o'clock Pacific time this afternoon. By 18 minutes past this hour, 3:18 in the West and 6:18 in the East, the Los Angeles Times had been reporting that he had been pronounced dead by doctors at the UCLA Medical Center. And then, as we mentioned, as David Schuster has continually reported to you in the last 20 minutes or so, NBC News was able to confirm through a family friend that Michael Jackson passed away, concluding certainly one of the most extraordinary lives in American 20th century and 21st century history, ranging from his stardom as part of the Jackson 5 in the 1960s, this rather singular family group, and then as a true sort of, forgive the use of the word under these circumstances, teeny bopper pop star in the 1970s as he emerged from that group of singers in his family. And then becoming clearly the #1 pop sensation in the United States and the world while still a teenager, and moving through his 20s in that role, hit after hit, and then being engaged in a series of phenomenal, extraordinarily publicized, and yet in some ways not to his career damaging allegations of child abuse. And the balance between Michael Jackson, an extraordinarily popular figure whose presence in a community would draw crowds, just as we are seeing now in the wake of his death. He would draw these crowds on the way to a trial in which his freedom was at stake. He would draw these crowds. They would be cheering for him. The adoration of the man may have waned. The willingness to deal with these other aspects of his life may have been, in some cases, neglected, rejected, mocked in many places, this one included. With all that, when news came out Michael Jackson was here, Michael Jackson was coming here, wherever here might have been, crowds would form, just as they have now formed at the scene of his death. There could be no chance, one assumes, these people know, who have come to UCLA. Look at the crowd on the corner there. That's the main entrance to the UCLA Medical Center in Westwood, California. We're talking about basically halfway between the coast and downtown LA. There's no chance these folks, I would assume, would expect they would be able to see anything, perhaps hear something, perhaps know of something, but they're not there because they expect to see Michael Jackson. went there expecting to find out that he was being released from the hospital. They went there because they heard he was ill, and he was, perhaps they had already heard he was dead, or the reports were that he was dead. It is something. It is deep in American history, certainly for a century, certainly since the start of the movies. We have seen this kind of adoration that requires people to gather in a place in memory now of a figure like Michael Jackson. You go back to the stories of the death of Rudolph Valentino in Los Angeles in the 1920s. And the crowds that lined up for the funeral and the crowds that lined up at the hospital, they're the same crowds, different people, different circumstances, different technology, different times, but it's the same idea. And Michael Jackson, to again repeat what you're seeing here as the headline news of this evening, Michael Jackson died this afternoon, apparently of cardiac arrest. We are still awaiting an official announcement from the UCLA Medical Center or from the family. We are told that many members of his family were present, perhaps including his sister LaToya. The timing is extraordinary. He was, in fact, we know, working out with a trainer in preparation for a major comeback tour in which he was going to once again rebuild his career. You can argue the point as to how many times he did that successfully. How many different Michael Jacksons, and this is not meant as some sort of reference to the considerable plastic surgery, but how many different Michael Jacksons were there? How many different Michael Jackson careers were there? And now, however many we agree upon as the number, they are over tonight. The last comeback is not going to take place. Again, there has not been an announcement. There has not been a statement from the family.